Hell yeah, now that's a Grand Prix. But how did we get from that Grand Prix all the way to this Grand Prix? This week, we're gonna find out on the breakdown. But a lot of the newer generation, they don't know that's what a Grand Prix really looks like. They think it looks like this. But in reality, my favorite ones look like this. The Pontiac Grand Prix started back in 1962. They finally introduced them to the market, and Pontiac only introduced them because it was the luxury muscle car era, and they were trying to make something a little more sportier than the GTO, but also keep it classier than the Bonneville.
GP stands for Grand Prix, the name for a new kind of Pontiac, highly personal and specially designed.
Doesn't seem like big things now, but back in '62, that Grand Prix came out with bucket seats, a tachometer, and a center console. Things we kind of take for granted today, but hell, that was cool. And to go along with the muscle car aspect, you could get that Grand Prix all the way up to a 421 V8. Pontiac marketed the Grand Prix to doctors and lawyers and the higher class as something you could drag race, but you don't want to look like you're out drag racing. The first Pontiac was pretty much more expensive than all of the other cars in their line too, and like I said, it was strictly marketed to a higher class of people. A lot of professionals wanted it because of the luxury aspect and still being able to go have fun and have a good time if you wanted to. And being in the 60s, this was a time for Pontiac to flex their muscles and build something they had never seen before. Now, through 1969 to 72, we'll call this the golden years of Pontiac, when they were at their best. The Grand Prix ended up downsizing to the A-frame, so it kind of fit in line with more of the GTO and Chevelles. But with that downsize came a bit better handling on the Grand Prix. And finally, it had the performance to match the look of it. The biggest fan favorite was probably the Pontiac Grand Prix SJ that came out in 1969. You could get that with a 428 or a 455 V8 in it. And come on now, you know you were having some fun if you had that back in the day. Other distinct styling was the long hood on it that you couldn't not notice. And Pontiac was so deeply rooted in the culture, they were also working with NASCAR. That helped them with huge credibility towards their muscle car line. Pontiac definitely used that racing clout to their best abilities, and the Grand Prix was considered a gentleman's muscle car, essentially. Now, moving into the early 70s, the same issue with every other brand, we run into the gas crisis, and they got to dumb it down a little bit for the Grand Prix.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God!
Along with the gas crisis, there was an insurance crackdown, so those muscle cars definitely went up on those insurance premiums.
You gotta be quicker than that.
They kind of killed all the performance of any of those V8s. But going into the 80s, the car started leaning more towards the luxury aspect of them. Now, with all these other issues going on, Pontiac was looking for a way to kind of revamp the Grand Prix, and in 1988, they changed it to front-wheel drive. Boy, was that very, very controversial for a modern muscle car. With all those problems in the way, Pontiac was trying to figure out another way to make some more power without a big old V8, so they decided to slap a turbo onto a V6. But needless to say, the muscle car era wasn't over. Pontiac was still coming out swinging for the next few years because they had to keep that muscle car name alive, right? So from about 1997 to 2003, we got probably the best Grand Prix of the modern age, the GTP with a supercharged 3800 inside of it. Now granted, it's a V6, still put down some good power.
Yeah! Yeah, boy!
And at the time, a lot of people loved it, and even nowadays, it still got quite the following around that little 3800 motor. They looked bomb and were affordable compared to other muscle cars at the time. Oh, and the 3800, it's mostly known as GM's most reliable engine ever, with some sleeper potential. About 2004 is when Pontiac started to wind down all around the board, not just on the Grand Prix. Pontiac was faced by GM financial problems.
Where's my fucking money, motherfucker?
Sadly, no more V8s on their lineup of cars during that time. Every one of their cars was a front-wheel drive sedan, and Pontiac had just lost its muscle luster, essentially. But in all actuality, the Grand Prix never failed. It's a badass car to this day.
To this day!
Pontiac just kind of failed the Grand Prix. The brand started to also lose their direction as they were making more compact cars that just nobody wanted. Last but not least, they ended out the Pontiac Grand Prix and Pontiac in general in 2008. Now, it's 50 plus years later, and those Grand Prix are still growing in value to this day because they have a die-hard culture. Now, obviously, you guys know the G-body culture. That's part of it. But a lot of those old heads love those old Grand Prix with those big V8s in them. It's just what they grew up on, and it's very nostalgic. And for my generation and a few other ones around my age, we all love this Grand Prix right here. It was the baddest thing at the time for being a little V6, even though, you know, the muscle car definition kind of changed between the years. The 69 through 72 Grand Prix are just legitimate icons. You'll never see another muscle car like those ones on the road. I know I said this in the last video about how G-bodies look crazy, but the Grand Prix being a G-body kind of goes hand in hand with it. They look fucking cool, no matter where you put them. Golf course, track, or the doctor's office even, since they were marketed to them. The end of Pontiac was one the world really was not ready to have happen yet, and fingers crossed they come back in the near future because it seems like the world needs a nice new muscle car, and I think it'd be a great time for Pontiac to come back and kind of steal the show from everybody. Why not do it again with Pontiac, who's supposed to be known for those muscle cars? And even if it doesn't come back, you'll still see them out there on the road because there's a die-hard community of those Grand Prix lovers because, again, another one of the coolest cars on the road that you'll ever see. So, if you got the opportunity to go get a Grand Prix, you better do it. Go save one because most of them are sitting in the field fucked up right now. But overall, the Grand Prix really tells the entire story of Pontiac. They came in, made their name very, very known, and got taken out of the game way too damn soon. But with that, that's my video this week. A little bit of the history on the Grand Prix from Pontiac. Let me know in the comments what y'all want to see me do in the future. What car should we go with? Should we go with the Monte Carlo or another G-body style or something? We'll figure it out. But yeah, I'll see y'all next week, Alco family. Just like that, another week down. Don't forget to like and subscribe. New videos dropping every week. Daily posts on Instagram and TikTok. And drop a comment. Let me know what you want to see done to the El Camino. Peace.